What's going on, everyone? Today we're diving into one of America's most stunning national parks, Glacier National Park in Montana. It's known for its breathtaking landscapes, pristine alpine lakes, and abundant wildlife. Glacier National Park is an adventurer's paradise. This will be a comprehensive travel guide for those visiting for a weekend trip, providing everything you need to know on how to spend 72 hours here. Before we dive in, I'd like to ask if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It's a quick and easy way to support me as a creator. In this video, I'll be going over how to get here, accommodations, the best hikes and accessible places to visit, the best scenic drives, and so much more. But for now, let's dive right in. This is how to spend 72 hours in Glacier National Park, Montana. Let's start with some quick notes that every visitor should know. First off, the weather in Glacier National Park can be unpredictable, so it's important to be prepared for all conditions. Always carry layers, plenty of water, snacks. On some of the bigger hikes, you might want to consider a Garmin InReach or SOS feature, and you'll definitely want to have offline maps downloaded for some of the hikes that you choose to do. If you see wildlife, whether you're hiking or driving, please enjoy viewing the wildlife, but make sure to keep your distance, stay in your car, and do not approach or feed any wildlife. And on any of the hikes in the backcountry, always carry bear spray and try to hike in groups. And if you see a bear, keep your distance and make yourself known. First thing, let's talk about getting to Glacier National Park. If you're flying, the nearest airport is Glacier National Park Airport in Kalispell, which is about 30 miles from the park's west entrance. From the airport, you should definitely rent a car because having a car is necessary to properly explore the park. Other options for flying could include Missoula or Bozeman, but these include a trade-off. Because they are so much further from the park, you're going to have a lot more driving, but at the same time, depending on where you fly in from, flights could be cheaper than Kalispell. For those within driving distance, road tripping is a great option, and this is what I would recommend. Every time I visited the park, it's been on a road trip that started in Denver, which is nice because you also get to pass through the Tetons and Yellowstone if you're coming from a similar area. The park has several entrances, but the most popular ones are the West Glacier entrance by Lake McDonald and the St. Mary entrance on the east side. I'll be talking on both of these entrances and sides of the park throughout this video. And once you're in the park, parking can fill up very fast, especially at the popular trailheads in Logan Pass, so try to arrive early for all of your adventures. And a note on driving going to the Sun Road. This is the main park road, but because Glacier gets so much snow, it's typically only open from mid-June to mid-October. You can still access Glacier National Park in other months of the year, but to do the entire west side of the park to east side of the park drive, you are only going to be able to do it in certain months. There was even one year that we visited, and the road didn't fully open until the first week of July, so this is something to keep in mind when you're picking dates to visit. Now let's talk accommodations. There's three main options: lodges, campgrounds, or nearby towns for a hotel or motel. If you want to stay within the park, lodges like the Many Glacier Hotel or the Lake McDonald Lodge offer incredible views and very convenient access to the trails, but they're extremely pricey and they do book up fast. Another option, staying in the towns. There are a few places on the west side of the park like West Glacier, Whitefish, Apgar, Hungry Horse, or Columbia Falls. You can find a variety of options here, and depending on which of those towns you choose, they are typically just a short drive away, and the accommodations range from budget motels to luxury resorts. And if you do stay on the eastern side of the park, there are a few lodge accommodations, but they are limited, so most of the accommodations on the east side of the park will be campgrounds. Be aware that campgrounds also fill up very quickly, so reservations are recommended. We've stayed at the KOA a few times on the eastern side of the park by Many Glacier. This is a great option if you're looking to do any of the aqua blue alpine lakes, which I'll touch on in a little bit, but even at KOA with just a simple campground, not including an RV hookup, could be as much as $100 a night. So overall, accommodations for Glacier National Park are going to be a little bit pricier, and this is one of those trips where you're probably going to want to book this ahead of time. We've done it last minute, but anytime we've done that, we've scrambled to find a place to stay. So if you can book a trip here in advance, it is definitely worth booking your accommodations ahead of time. For the next part of the video, I'm going to highlight some of the best places to visit, family-friendly locations, hikes, and activities to do, and then after listing a bunch of these out, I'll move into an actual potential 72-hour itinerary. Some accessible and family-friendly places to visit include Lake McDonald, Logan Pass, Wild Goose Island Lookout, Jackson Glacier, and Trail of the Cedars. Shorter hikes include Avalanche Lake and Hidden Lake, but some of my favorites here are the longer hikes, which include Grinnell Glacier, Highline Trail, Iceberg Lake, and Cracker Lake. Most of these are 8 to 12 mile hikes, so they are big days out. And then a great activity could be renting kayaks and paddleboard at Lake McDonald for a serene way to explore the water and the most famous lake in the park. And if you're a peak bagger and looking to summit some of the mountains here, there's an unlimited number of mountains to climb. The only one I've really done is Mount Reynolds, which was incredible. I say it's one of the more approachable peaks in the park, but it is still a very intense day with class 3 climbing, and it is not meant for the hobbyist hiker. And if you're not looking to hike, then driving Going to the Sun Road on its own is an incredibly scenic activity. And before hopping into our day-by-day itinerary, I want to mention that I do have top 10s and travel guides from all over the country and globe, with a handful of top 10s covering other great national parks to visit, so make sure to check those out after this video. Alright, so let's talk a potential 72-hour itinerary. You drive to Glacier or you fly to Kalispell and get your rental car. On day 1, let's say you arrive around 10 a.m. Since hotel check-in hasn't started yet, you're going to dive right into the adventures. Day 1 will start with a scenic drive along Going to the Sun Road, which again is one of the most beautiful drives in the entire country. You'll want to take your time, stopping at every viewpoint you see, like Lake McDonald, the Loop, Wild Goose Island Lookout, and Logan Pass. Before you get to Logan Pass, you'll definitely want to make sure to stop at Haystack Creek Falls, which you can't miss, it's right on the side of the road. And then at Logan Pass, if you'd like, you can take a short hike to Hidden Lake Overlook, which is 2.7 miles round trip with about 550 feet of elevation gain, with the option to continue hiking to the lake itself for 5 miles round trip and 1,400 feet of elevation gain total. This hike offers incredible views and a chance to see mountain goats, and then after exploring Logan Pass, continue driving along St. Mary Lake and make sure to stop at Wild Goose Island Lookout for sunset, and then you can enjoy a few more roadside stops before checking into your accommodation and grab dinner at one of the local spots. This is a great day if you start in Kalispell and then get an accommodation on the eastern side of the park, but let's include an alternative for day 1 for those that might be staying in the western side of the park. If you stay on this side of the park, you're going to have the same exact day, but after enjoying Wild Goose Island Lookout in the afternoon, you'll drive back the way you came and instead enjoy sunset at Lake McDonald, which is one of the most iconic views here. On day 2, we're going to start bright and early with a big hike to Grinnell Glacier. It's one of the park's most iconic hikes. It's roughly 10 miles with around 2,000 feet of elevation gain. A note on this day, if you're staying in St. Mary on the eastern side of the park, it's going to take you 30 minutes to get to the trailhead. However, let's say you're staying on the west side of the park in West Glacier, it is a 2 to 2.5 hour drive to the trailhead. So this is something to heavily consider when you're booking your accommodation. The trail offers stunning views of glaciers, alpine meadows, and turquoise lakes. Make sure to bring plenty of water and snacks, as this will take most of the day. After the hike, you can relax and unwind at your accommodation or explore more of the Mini Glacier area. For dinner, you can head back to St. Mary or Mini Glacier's Hotel's Ptarmigan Dining Room for a meal with a view. Alternative hikes to do on day 2, regardless of where you're staying, could be Cracker Lake or Iceberg Lake. All of them are great options, but I would say Grinnell is probably the most popular. For day 3, I'm going to include 2 different options for the day. One of them will be more relaxed and one of them will be another hiking day, but if your accommodation is on the east side of the park, then you will likely only have had a very quick stop at Lake McDonald, or maybe you haven't even been there. So for this day, we're going to start with a small hike and then a day on the water. The hike is going to be Trail of the Cedars, an easy hike that clocks in at just under 1 mile round trip with 50 feet of elevation gain. After this, you'll just drive 20 minutes to Lake McDonald, where you can enjoy a lakeside picnic, a swim, or you could rent a kayak and paddleboard in Apgar to take out on the water. And there's also boat tours available. Now, if you have stayed in West Glacier, you have likely already explored Lake McDonald, so for your day 3, you can skip that and still hike Trail of the Cedars, and then if you want to continue hiking on this trail will take you all the way up to Avalanche Lake. So for both Trail of the Cedars and Avalanche Lake, it would be a total of 5.9 miles round trip with 750 feet of elevation gain. This lake is surrounded by towering cliffs and waterfalls, creating a very picturesque setting. And another alternative for day 3, if you'd like to have another long hiking day, could be the option to do Glacier's Highline Trail, with an optional addition to add Grinnell Glacier Overlook to it. The Highline Trail starts at Logan Pass and is a point-to-point hike that traverses the park with non-stop views every step of the way. It is 12 miles with 1,500 feet of elevation gain, and if you add Grinnell Glacier Overlook, it'll add 2 more miles and another 400 feet of gain. This is a stunning hike, but it is a big one, and since it's a point-to-point hike, once you finish, you'll either need to get a ride back to Logan Pass or take the park's shuttle system, so there is some logistics involved for this trail. Throughout your visit, keep an eye out for wildlife and take in the park's incredible landscapes. Glacier National Park is a place of unparalleled beauty, and even with just 72 hours, you'll be able to experience some of its most breathtaking sights. But I do want to make a note that is very important. This video is just a guiding baseline. Everyone's trip is going to look different, and I just want this video to give you an idea of what a trip could look like. If you do have the time, I would actually recommend doing 4 to 7 days in the park because there's so much to do and there's so many awesome hikes. And if it works out with your trip and is possible, it actually might be worth staying in West Glacier for a few nights and then in St. Mary's for a few nights. Because the park is so big, this would split up the driving time to get to trailheads, and you could do all of the West Glacier hikes when you're on that side of the park, and then you could do the many glacier hikes when you're on the east side of the park. Anyways, I hope this travel guide and 72-hour itinerary has been helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and again, if you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more travel guides and explore other national parks, check out my other videos. Safe travels and enjoy your adventures in Glacier National Park.